It has been 18 years to the day yesterday since the final episode of The Sopranos aired June 10th of 2007, John.
It seems like yesterday to me.
I know.
Wow,
And
18.
18 years. And, of course, so for my generation, that Journey song became famous because of The Sopranos. Right. Because it was released in 81. So at that point, it's almost 30 years old.
Yeah.
And for those of us who were not alive in 1981, that scene, that final scene of The Sopranos, brought it back into mainstream pop culture.
Wayne's World, Bohemian Rhapsody, kind of one of those things where a whole new audience discovers it. Yeah.
Exactly. And now it's seemingly just as popular as it's ever been 18 years later.
Well, it was always popular even when you were two.
No, that's true.
It
Fair
was
enough.
there.
It was popular with a new generation. I'll put it that way.
True, exactly.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, exactly
Yes.
your
Yeah.
point.
So I watched the final scene last night on my laptop as I was getting ready for today.
Wow, I haven't seen it since it was on.
I'll let you watch it after. You can pull it up on YouTube, I'm sure.
Sure.
But
I'm curious on your take.
I watched it on X last night. Now I didn't watch The Sopranos in real time. It came out in '99, went through 2007. I was like, when it came out, I was 11 years old, so I wasn't watching The Sopranos at 11. So I watched it after the fact.
Real quick, interjecting my story. I'm one of those guys, a hype. I never went to see Star Wars, right? That was right when I was in high school, the big thing. Never, forget. So I never watched Sopranos for, 3 seasons? And everybody's, it's good. I'm like, hype. Then I got hooked. Yeah, so...
Okay.
Like you, I kind of came into it a little bit later, but I think I did catch the ending in real time.
Oh, good
when
for
it was
you.
delivered that season.
So I did not catch it in real time. I caught it probably a couple of years later by the time I caught up and everything like that. But normally I would have hated the ending to a show like that. But I watched it last night and I said, this is great. This is exactly how this show needed to end. And David Chase is a genius. And I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Because I want to hate it. I want to say, if you watched it start to finish, you put 8 years of your life into it. You want to hate it. You don't know how it ends. I'm watching Meadow as she's failing the parallel park, trying to hustle into the diner. What's going to happen? That guy creepily walks into the bathroom. Is he going to come out with a gun and whack Tony? What's going to happen here? And then it goes black. Now, there are two schools. Well, there's a lot of theories. I was going to say, not two theories. There's a lot of theories out there. The two that I continue to come back to is, one, Tony got whacked. And that's because if you go back, I want to say it's maybe season 2 or 3. There's a scene where Tony and Bobby Baklava are out on a boat, and they're talking about death. And they say in that scene, and this is one of my favorite conspiracy theories on why Tony got whacked. They say in that conversation that when you die, everything just goes black. So to tie that to the last episode of The Sopranos, which, was released 18 years ago yesterday, I'm like, I like that theory. The other one I like a lot that I've also settled on is that when the screen goes dark, we have been whacked. We got whacked. Their lives carried on. We got whacked.
What's
and
Kevin O'Leary say? We're just not whacking enough.
The issue is they're not whacking enough.
Somebody had to get whacked.
Yeah.
Whether it's Tony or it's us, we got whacked as the viewer.
Why would we have? What's the theory there? We got in the way, maybe?
Well,
why would the viewer be whacked?
The viewer would be whacked. The viewer... Well, that's a good question, John. I hadn't thought about that. Why would
I guess it's philosophical. Like, okay, you can no longer watch the series.
It's over. We got whacked.
Yeah.
I mean, their lives go on.
I can kind of see that.
I wouldn't get too deep on it.
It's over for you guys.
Yeah, it's done. The show's end. We got whacked. Their lives went on, but that was it.
And, of course, the cynical old man, as I'm watching, go, oh, great. They're going to do a movie now.
Yeah.
Which has never come to pass, unfortunately, because of James Gandolfini passing away.
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah.
That was sad. But 18 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, yesterday. Final episode released. I also saw this. Variety.com had a story here with Michael Imperioli, who, of course, played Christopher Moltisanti in Sopranos. And the article was written by Variety here in the last few days. And they go on to ask him just about, he's a New York guy, obviously, through and through. And he gets asked about the state of New York. And he goes on to say this. I thought this quote was fascinating because I don't know what his politics are. But he goes on to bemoan the fact that New York is not the place that he came to in the early 1980s. And I think you can make this case for most major American cities. He said, the sad thing about the change in New York is that it's gone from a city where individuals can own businesses to now in a place where you start to lose that uniqueness. He said, it's sad to see that part of the crazy economics of the city hurt the small businesses. The economics make it very difficult. Well, why is it that a place like New York and a lot of major American cities no longer have that backbone of that mom and pop small business, that restaurant, that bookstore, that clothing store, whatever it might be? It's because of big government policies that have screwed the little guy. Whether it's income taxes, property taxes, you go down the list, right? The cost of doing business, especially in major American cities, is oftentimes higher than it's ever been. So when I see this from Michael Imperioli being like, man, I wish New York was the way it was in the early 80s when you had, little coffee shops that could get by, mom and pop restaurants and bookstores and little music halls. It's like they can't survive. They can't afford to stay in business at a price point that works for their customer. They got to charge $12 for a cup of coffee, and no one's going to pay that.
And you got to cross the bridge to get there.
Hey, bingo. So when I hear these artsy types and these Hollywood types bemoan the way the world was in places like New York, I don't have a lot of sympathy because they're unable to add 2 and 2 together and get 4 to understand how we got here. But I still love you, Christopher Maltasanti.